in the air here in Chicago as you get a view from the Devwrx offices in the West Loop here at the River Point building. Hello, I'm Ron Gaudier and welcome to the first installment of Tech Talk presented by Devwrx Consulting. To help us kick this off, we've been fortunate enough to be joined today by Rob McGillen. He's the former head of technology and CIO for Grant Thornton and CEO and founder of Practically Digital. Thanks for joining us, man. I really appreciate it. You know, it's interesting because we've met kind of at different events, but this is really the first time we've had a chance to sit down and talk. And I had some areas because of your background that I really wanted to hit. The first one, because of what your business does, the first one is really kind of a simple question, I think. In your mind, in your opinion, how has the push for a complete digital transformation impacted organizations' ability to staff correctly, right? I mean, that's really a big key. You always have to have the right people at the right time. And given your background, I thought you'd have a unique perspective on that.
I can speak to that a lot, Ron, and I'm glad to be here for the very first Tech Talk.
Thanks.
We've either set the bar really high today or really low, so we'll work on that. So staffing in the age of digital transformation, right? So organizations, first of all, digital transformation means something different for every single company. And that's a good and a challenging thing on the staffing front, right? Because you're looking for talent and you're looking for people that can evolve as your business quickly evolves. So the person who was on a traditional arc of, say, a business analyst or on a software development or a programming background, now they have to also have some acumen when it comes to perhaps business development, sales, perhaps even just integrating and using things that they never would have previously considered in their career as part of the career journey. So when you look at people today and when you look at staffing today, the challenge that digital presents is how do you find the people for now and for next, which is I think one of the things Devwrx does a great job of staffing for. And two is helping someone who's on that career journey evolve and pivot, using an overused phrase, in their career journey, because it's no longer just a linear line between now and retirement, and there's 4 or 5 jobs on a career journey. It's now probably 6 different jobs, perhaps over 1 or 2 years. So
it's changed a lot. I mean, the gig economy has really altered, I think, the way that technology people approach their career journey. I think journey is the right word. You hear that a lot, the term journey. And it's interesting because when you think about it, there's been a change in technology, the pace at which technology comes out, the approaches are changing so quickly. You can look at things like the emergence of DevOps. You can look at the rush to get all of our data in the cloud, bimodal IT. There are a ton of different things going on. And there was a study that I read here recently talking about how CIOs are really beginning to forecast a much larger endeavor into that gig economy, into how do I get the right skills right now, which leads me to my next question. In your opinion, what should tech professionals, the frontline people, the people who are really out there, I've got to do this every day, what should they be looking for, not only in their own career, but from firms like yours or firms like Devwrx?
Right. So first of all, with CIOs, and I talk to a lot of them here in the Midwest, finding the right talent is a common conversation. I was on a conference call yesterday with several CIOs, and the culture conversation and the staffing and the composition of personnel was as important as the tech strategy and the transformation strategy itself. Having the right culture, having the right people at the right time. So knowing that's the case, the whole gig economy model lends itself much more credibly today than it used to that kind of endeavor. Someone who is looking to develop skills, not just in, again, an incremental fashion, but in a variety of different ways. This particular gig, they're going to be doing more sales and agile development. That gig, they're going to be spending more time looking at a DevOps opportunity, working in a cloud environment. Those skill sets are things you need to be continuously scanning the marketplace for, seeing what makes sense to you, what seems to be trending in your own space, and consulting with organizations like Devwrx. You guys are clearly in touch with what's going on in the market.
Well, I think that's one of the things we like to think separates us, is that technology is actually part of our DNA, right? From a client perspective, and I don't want to brag about us because this is really more about talking about technology, but one of the things that we like to make sure that we focus on is making sure that people are technically capable of what they're doing, providing technical screens for the candidates that we present for a project, or if it's a straight staff augmentation type of situation, we want to make sure that the person we bring you is the right person.
Right.
Because we hear that all the time in the marketplace. Your company is really focused on helping other organizations navigate the digital transformation. That's really what you do, right? I know that you've done work with Watson. I know that you do a lot of different things, but you talk, when I go back and I've listened to other things, presentations of yours, read content by you, and you talk about the digital opportunity. What does that actually mean? And how does that help a company like yours and a company like ours be better providers for clients, either cooperatively or individually?
Right. So I'm going to borrow a phrase I heard yesterday, which is
borrowing phrases. You know, we don't let you do that.
Yeah, exceptional thought. The little I and the big I of innovation, right? So for one organization, digital transformation could mean a process change. You know, world-class organization, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of employees. For them, digital transformation might mean a tweak. That same change in an organization of a different size or different industry could be a big I of complete disruption. You know, it's the big innovation, it's the big shift, the big challenger in that particular market space. So what we help organizations do is figure out, first of all, what are they seeking when they say digital transformation for themselves? Because that's a buzzword, that's something boards throw out at CEOs and leadership teams, and many times you'll see it in the press. In my own journey and experience, what I have found is each company is slightly different or vastly different depending on an industry. And finding out that they want to figure out an I or a big I, a little I, a big I kind of change is kind of the first thing that we suss out and figure out with the dialogue with them. The second step is determining, can they do this on their own? You know, once we help them figure out the strategy, the key activities, the key changes in technology, what is it that they can do themselves? I think that's one of the reasons why I founded Practically Digital was you can bring in armies of very large consulting organizations and you can spend millions and millions of dollars on just strategy and then another several million on change. And that may get you the little I, but if you're looking for the big I, you'd be surprised. I have found over and over again, we can find very large transformational change happen for a very low number with the right thinking. And I think that's where we come in as, you know, we provide a practical digital answer to many of the company's ambitions and aspirations.
You see that rush to compete, that rush to move. If you had any advice for, I guess maybe the better way to phrase it is there something that you would like all CIOs to know? You come from a unique background. You've been a CIO a few different times. You're with Grant Thornton. And again, if you're just joining us, we are with Rob McGillen, former head of technology for Grant Thornton and CEO and founder of Practically Digital. Is there anything that you would like these folks to know about how not to be afraid?
Sure.
You know what I mean? Because I think a lot of times when I look at it from our side of the business, if I go to somebody on the consulting portion of our business and I say, well, I want you to spend X amount of dollars here, there's a little bit of timidity around it. They'll tend to back off. But if I say, hey, I've got this developer and it's the exact same amount of money, right? From a business standpoint, they don't seem to flex. So I think sometimes that change piece is the part that scares them. What's your advice? What should they know?
So there's 2, maybe 3 points, Ron, in looking at this. First is digital transformation, and we talked earlier about, you asked earlier about the opportunity. You have these massive changes that are industry vertical specific, moonshots. That usually causes people in any role in the organization to pause. Say, do we really have a lot of cash and a lot of time and capital to spend? What we focus on is the operating components of every business: sales, marketing, operations, collaboration, click to close, procure to pay, those kind of things. Those sort of activities begin a snowball effect in an organization to build that confidence. If you can demonstrate in a department or an organization that they can become digital in the journey, and it doesn't take a lot of effort, and the momentum builds, the confidence builds in the organization. The leadership team feels confident they can tackle some really large transformative efforts. That's, I think, one of the bits of advice that we give to CIOs is think of this as, first of all, that journey, always talking about a journey. Second of all, be willing to solve areas that are pain points now with transformative change. Don't just focus on, well, we're thinking about this, but it could be a 3-year endeavor. Don't do 3-year digital transformation endeavors.
Right.
It's going to fail. And it's going to fail because you usually don't have the sustained organizational confidence. And culture is key, people are key. Coming back to sort of the connection between Devwrx and what I would encourage anyone to look at, you help the organization find the right talent for now and for next. You're there to make certain that people get the right journey and the trajectory with the talent. And ultimately, transformation is something that needs to be passed on. It's a change of continuous effort. Right. It's not just, okay, these are the staff we hired and they're going to go sit in a box somewhere and for the next 10 years they're going to do that.
Right.
No, this is something that's pervasive in the culture. It's got to be led by energetic, informed technology leaders, business leaders, whether it's in marketing and sales, in product delivery or development, most of all in the C-suite. CEOs, that's one of the things I find a lot, is CEOs have a question, what does transformation mean for my company? Well, they're in the perfect seat, because they know where all the pain is coming from.
Right.
Start with the smaller ones, solve for the bigger ones. That's our general advice.
Thanks so much for coming in today, man.
Absolutely.
We really appreciate it. All right, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks again to Mr. McGillen for joining us here on Tech Talk presented by Devwrx Consulting. Please visit us online at devwrx.com, or for more information about our services, you can email your inquiries to info@devwrx.com. For more on Rob, you can catch him at Rob McGillen on Twitter and at practically.digital. Thanks again for tuning in. I'm Ron Gautier. See you next time on Tech Talk presented by Devwrx Consulting. Make it a great day.